Strap on your tool belts and grab a cup of coffee. It's time for My Fix It Up Life with Mark and Teresa.
Hey lifers, so this is a DIY project that I have fretted over and worried about for a long time, and today is the day that I'm gonna, bring it to death, because I have a mulberry tree here and I love it. It's the perfect tree for this space in terms of size, in terms of canopy. I love the way the leaves are shaped, but for about 6 weeks in July, the driveway is carpeted with mulberries. They're getting inside the cars, they're getting inside our neighbor's house. So bottom line, it's kind of a nuisance. So I'm worried about everything. I swear to God, I think about this stuff. I'm worried about bee colony collapse and pollinators and the bugs that feed on all this, to just taking down something I like. But what I'm going to do instead is, while this has to come down because, we live with people, I'm going to put something else in its place. That's a future project. Right now, mulberry, bye-bye, baby. Come to Papa, because it's tool time. Sanding walls before you paint? Do it the Hyde way, not the hard way, with Hyde's dust-free sander. Attach to your wet dry vac and go. No drywall dust on your furniture, no tough cleanup when you're done. Buy online at Amazon.com. My Fix It Up lifers, power up, dig down, and get it going on. We are talking about DIY courage today. Not so much about how to do the project, because we talk about that all the time. We have great guests, great people who talk with us about craft. This Old House guys, Mike Holmes, and everybody, they talk about what's happening when it's already happening. But for DIY, the more we look at it, the more we sometimes find that doing it isn't so much the challenge, is it's getting started, getting past whatever it could be. And it could be lots of stuff. And I have a whole roughly 3 to 4 hour lecture I could go into right now that I won't. I'll spare you because I want to get right to our guests who are awesome. We've got pretty handy girl Brittany Bailey, and from DIY Network, Sara Bendrick, bark mulch master. Not sure she wants to go with that. And we're going to talk about a Twitter chat they did with Teresa, which the hashtag was DIY Courage. And it was all about this, right, guys? It was all about getting started and getting moving right along.
Absolutely.
I love it. I have a lot of questions. So I guess, as we talk back and forth, pretend I don't know anything. I know that could be a stretch.
Woo!
Yeah. Or Sarah, not so much. Not so much.
All right, I'll start from the beginning. So Brittany and I actually got in contact with each other through a lovely lady named Ashley Kingsley. I had hired her to help me understand social media because I did TV, but this whole world of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, I was like, I have no idea how to be present here. So I hired somebody to help me, and she's like, you should reach out to other bloggers. And so she put me in contact with Brittany, and us three jumped on the phone and we collaborated. Like, what do you think? What can we do that kind of reaches all of our audiences and is something that we're passionate about? And so we came up with DIY Courage, which is a way to reach people and try and inspire people to start DIYing. So it's been a work in progress. We've developed it as we've gone, but pretty much Brittany and I are running the show now, and we're mainly doing it on Twitter right now. Brittany, I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
Over to you.
I'm sorry.
I'm working on my what do you call those skills? News reporting skills, whatever.
Right, Sarah, are you standing up in front of a van right now in a street corner?
No, I'm not. I'm sweating on my porch. I'm in my backyard and I'm not wearing pants. It's too hot.
Perfect. As it turns out, pants are overrated. I don't wear them a lot.
We're not them on before I leave, but you know.
Whose skin is crawling now that I mention that? Just
I will stay out of that one.
so Brittany, what's your take? Like, so Sara is a professional person. Like this.
Yeah, I'm not a pro.
DIY is her life, and we'll get into that in a second for sure. But what's your approach to this whole thing in DIY courage?
So for those of you that don't know, I actually have a blog called prettyhandygirl.com, and I kind of have to go back to the beginning because it'll maybe make a little bit more sense. I'm not trying to be long-winded here, but
oh God, we don't have
that kind of time. One of my really, really good friends who lives nearby, she really wanted me to teach workshops in my garage, teach women how to use power tools and really empower people to be able to take on a DIY project. And we were both really excited about the idea, and my husband totally shot it down. I'm sure, Mark, you have no experience with that, do you?
I know not of what you speak.
Yeah. So he basically said, I think you could reach more people with a blog. And so from the beginning, prettyhandygirl.com has been my tool to try to teach people how to take on their own DIY projects. And I work mostly in my home doing renovations, but I have posts about how to fix your toilet, really exciting stuff like that. I recently rebuilt the whole kitchen when we had a leak, and so every single little project from being on my hands and knees to tiling was all on the blog for people to read how to do it. And like Sara had said, when Ashley and I brought us together, we really had like similar goals, and you know, we wanted to empower people to be able to do a DIY project because we both realized that the majority of the time it's not the skills that you need, it's the belief that you can do it. So that's pretty much what DIY Courage formed as. We're trying to give people the courage to take on a DIY project.
And Sara, you're nodding your head in agreement. For
That's
anybody
good.
watching us on YouTube, you can see that she's like, yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, exactly. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, and I can't tell you how many times I've worked with different homeowners, especially through the show I Hate My Yard. Is basically me working with homeowners to help redo their backyard. And so I can't tell you how many times I've met newbies to construction and newbies to DIY, and there's a huge fear of like a drill, or I can see the miter saw, I can see how somebody might be scared of that. But once you actually take that step and somebody guides you through the different steps of it, you gain a sense of power that, like, I get this, I understand how the tool works, and now I can do this. Whereas you can see all these posts of pretty things, and you're like, well, how do I get this big piece of plywood into something that's this big? You know, I see people cut it, but I've never pulled the trigger, and that's scary.
You know, little segue, because you make a great point. Just moving materials around can be like half the battle. Like, who carries a sheet of plywood? Not every day, any day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, and refine this question for me if it's way too vague. But Sara, we'll kick it back to Brittany in the studio.
Yeah, I'm here reporting from Raleigh, North Carolina, in the Pretty Handy Girl headquarters. What do you for you, Mark? How can I answer your question?
Yeah. Hold on. Do I have to put my finger like this and get a fedora hat with the little press thing from the 20s? Scream extra.
I need a microphone or something.
I know. Let's all get microphones. I've got one behind me. So we're broadcasting. What is that?
This awesome.
Is that a sword? What the hell is wrong? What are you doing?
Barbie the welder made this for me. She's this awesome chick in New York, and she welds stuff, and I got a dagger.
I need to meet Barbie the welder because my pencil, like,
we should bring Barbie the welder on at some point.
I need to meet her.
Sara, I'm just gonna. You don't have to do that anymore either, but jot down some questions for you for another time.
Okay.
First question: what's the number to 911? So there was some kind of, okay, Brittany,
Yes.
Swift Pro, DIY Network, I Hate My Yard, trained in all this stuff, working around other contractors too on the crew of I Hate My Yard. But you are like most of us, you're in your kitchen, as you pointed out before. What was your biggest hurdle to just going from, I don't know how to do this, to now I'm going to do this?
That's an awesome question, actually, and it's something that I talk about in my speeches when I go live and meet with people. I think the biggest hurdle for me too, but for most people, is getting over those internal messages that, I need to hire a pro to do this, I might screw this up, and so myself included, when I'm taking on a task that I haven't done before, I tend to build up this, I call it the fear factor, and I need to just break it down and say, you know what, screw that, I'm just going to do this because if someone else can do it, there's like a 95% chance I can do it too. And if I screw it up, I have two options. I can either learn from it and fix it the right way, or I can hire a pro to do it. But I'll tell you, if I hire a pro and I'm going to pay the money, I'm going to stand right here, I'm going to watch him or her do it and ask questions. So next time I can do it myself.
Yeah.
Hey, that's really good. I will tell you, from the pro standpoint, I've had that customer, and that's a little nerve-wracking.
I'm sure it is.
I'm charging you extra to look over my shoulder and teach you how to do it.
Well, you can do it on the sly. You can kind of say, hey, you need some water? Oh, can I get you some water? Here's some cookies I just baked. So what are you doing there?
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. You know what? So many people, and Sarah, you can speak to this, so many of us in the trades that we do this for a living, we want to make you happy anyway, and teaching is sort of, it comes naturally to so many of these guys and gals who will come into your house and do a whole kitchen like you did, or your basement or whatever, that as long as you're nice and respect the fact that their mortgage comes every month too, I think that's a fair balance, and cookies is a good way to start.
Yeah.
I ask them when I hire them, what's your favorite cookie?
Nice.
Or a chocolate chip.
So what have you hired out? Where's your line to say, you know what, this isn't for me. It's, too big, too heavy, too on the roof, whatever it might be.
Okay, well, yeah, on the roof is definitely one place that both my husband and I have agreed, and he is not handy at all. He likes to get up there and clean the gutters, and a while ago we agreed, anything that's involving ladders where we're really putting ourselves at risk and, potentially being really injured or, killing ourselves, we're not going to do anymore. That's just, taking down trees, things like that. We just don't do that ourselves. But I will say the few times that I have hired people out, I end up kicking myself because A, they don't have the same level of perfection that I do, and B, I realize that's something I totally could have done myself. All I needed to do was just watch, YouTube or something. So I'm still just really mad that I hired a tile setter to tile the floor in our bedroom, because I told him there are 14 patterns in that tile. Don't put two together. And where did he do it? 4 times. He put it 2 tiles right next to each other.
Sarah,
so I realized,
you got a giant smile on your face, like, yeah, I fired that guy.
No, I'm just laughing at Brittany because I can see it happening. I'm just envisioning you wanting to put it together how you want to. And, I find it so interesting, too, because I'll work with subcontractors as well as homeowners and just, like, the whole plethora of it. So you just kind of see it all. And it can be challenging. It's sometimes you communicate with somebody and you think they get it, and then it just doesn't happen the way you envisioned it. Or it just doesn't come together or you draw all these plans, because I'm a landscape designer originally or first, and so you draw up these beautiful plans, and then you go visit the site, and you're like, did you even look at the plans, like, at all? Like, why did I spend 4 hours drawing these up, and you're building it different?
What has been, for you, whether it's in your professional life off TV or on TV, what to you has been the biggest, oh my God, that's not even close to the drawing experience?
I don't know.
I gotta dig deep, Sarah.
I'm gonna look something up. I just had these pillars done. I didn't think I needed to babysit the contractor putting up stone on these pillars. They came out so bad, and the client emailed me. Well, so I don't know, where do I put my camera? There we go. You see all those gaps and like, see that spacing? They're like alternating. Like
I see all your broken phone.
oh yeah, that's broken too. Sorry, that's probably not the best photo to show you. But
no, but there were a lot of joints that look like they might be lined up or really close to lined up. Is that what you were?
well, like so you have the flagstone, and like instead of mitering the edges to meet them together, or just like mitering would have been the best for this stone, because there's different ways to put stone together depending on the product.
Sure.
But this, they altered the they rotated where the butt would be, and they just left like a foot-long butt on one end, and then ran it on the other one, and there was like half-inch gaps at the bottom, and then it was touching here. It was just like I was like, where did we find this guy?
What school did you go to? Where'd you learn how to do this?
I don't know, but yeah, no. Sometimes I was not happy about it. So we're doing that.
when I talk with DIYers, a lot of times I'll tell them, let's pick a project like trim, chair rail, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell something complicated, or like you're talking about, Sarah. It's the same thing inside and outside.
Yeah.
If you can't do the thing that makes this the thing that you're not mad about later, practice doing that thing before you've got a pile of stone all over the place, or you've got missing pieces, or you have to run to the store because you've gobbled up all this stuff and you've got the entire job going. What I say, and Brittany, you've probably done this before, like for chair rail, just learn how to cope it. Just learn how to do your inside corners. Start there, like teach yourself a class, like you were saying earlier, that got you going on your Pretty Handy Girl blog career.
Yeah, I mean, people have to start small. I mean, I'm not saying go out and build a house, but I think get used to the tool. For example, when I replaced the wood floor in our living room, it was all reclaimed lumber. I didn't have any extra, and so I left the home improvement store with the gigantic drum sander, and the guy said practice on a sheet of plywood. So glad I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so don't, but still at the same time, don't think you can't do it. Just like you said, Mark, just go ahead and practice somewhere, or get used to the tool before you actually use it. When you've got that confidence, go ahead and do it. But
Sarah, have you on the show found, oh, you know what? I'll ask a different question. Teresa would want me to ask this question. Okay. All right. So on the show, and you've done, like, how many of them? I mean, like 100, maybe 5,000?
No. No, we've done 3 seasons. So, we've done 3 seasons.
30, 40, 50, something like that?
40, yeah.
So you've been around all these different people in these very high-stress situations.
Uh-huh.
And they're mostly not professional at all, if they're even DIY at all, right?
Right.
Okay. Do the guys does some sort of testosterone switch flip, and they're like, get out of my way, I'm driving the excavator? Or is it, and I'm totally talking about stereotypes now, I don't care about being fair. I want someone under a bus in the next 30 seconds.
oh my gosh.
No, I'm kidding. No, but is there, like, do the guys kind of jump into it at a certain level, and the girls kind of, or women, or whatever is the right thing to say, jump into it at a certain level? Or is that not even applicable?
Yes and no. I would say that that's usually the truth, but it really is not like an overwhelming truth. I would say that usually when it's coming in, I'm kind of like divvying up things, and so I really try and like cross those boundaries and be like, okay, you're running the skid steer and you're digging a hole. So like trying to be like, all right, Kathy, you're gonna jump in the skid steer, and Robert, you're gonna dig the hole, or whatever. I like to switch it up, and then sometimes some people are just more comfortable. Like I don't want to put somebody that is not confident in their own ability or mobile skills into doing something that they're not comfortable with. So I always want to make sure that people are open to it and try and just like guide them through the process. But you'd be surprised. Like I've had a handful of guys that have been like 10 times worse than their wives or their partners or whatever. So it's not a universal truth that the guys are coming in like, I want to do all the hard work, and the ladies are like, let me put the roses in. It's not. I would say that's not how it is. People are very open to trying things, especially because it's on training wheels. We got people there to help. We have to facilitate this. So.
Sorry, the last 30 seconds where no one was denigrated was totally boring. So I'm going to talk to Brittany for a while.
Well, yeah. Hey, Mark, because I totally want to kind of butt in on what you were saying about the stereotypes.
Yes, please.
Honestly,
please
that
gotta end it for both of us. Sarah's got to get a drink. Hold on. Drink break. Okay. Regroup.
Okay. So honestly, I think that's one of the major goals of the DIY Courage is that we really want to break down those stereotypes. And I have a dream that one day when a woman walks into a hardware store, it is not going to be assumed that she doesn't know what she's doing. Someone is not going to come up to her and say, oh, did your husband send you here? Or, oh, what are you working on, honey? Do you need some help with that? Or do you need, my goal is someday a woman will walk in and it will not be assumed that she doesn't know what she's doing. And there will be none of these stereotypes anymore.
You're totally quoting things people have said to you, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. All the time. But now
I get that a lot, too, from the guy. Or, hey, honey.
Yeah.
What can I help you with?
Oh, my God. I want to, like, roll my eyes and say, could you please, yes, you could help me. Could you please send me to the person who works here who's not going to talk to me like I'm a woman, but they're going to talk to me like I'm a person?
Yeah. I find that in all aspects of what we're doing, for sure. I do have to say, like, when I'm out on a construction site, it depends on, like, the demographic of people I'm working for, but it's always like, oh, you actually know what you're doing? Are you married? Do you have a boyfriend? Can we just talk about what we're doing here? Like, it's really interesting to me. And I'm not easily offended, but it's kind of like you got to move through that before you can actually start getting to the work of it. And at this point, I just, like, depending on the situation, I'm just like, just straight up ignore the question do something else.
It's funny to me. So my personal experience is I was raised by a working single mother who kicked butt.
Nice. I want to meet her.
It's not in my gene code to ever just, the little lady, or you had one of those cliches, Brittany. What are you working on, honey? I think you said.
Oh, gosh. That's
Crap to me. I start patronizing people after I see how much they stink at what they're doing. Then I capitalize. No, I'm being facetious, but
you do not want to meet my husband because he is not handy at all. In fact, my main comeback is, my husband is not allowed to touch my power tools or he might cut his finger off.
Yeah.
So Brittany, I'm not asking any of the questions that I had intended to ask, by the way. So this is awesome. I guess the question, I'll ask both of you guys, Brittany and Sara, if you're gonna start out on a project, where would you start? And Brittany, I'll go to you.
I'm on the spot. Well, what kind of project? Just like any any kind of home improvement project?
Yeah, like where would you? It's a bad question. You know what? I redact that question. This is like those Ancient Aliens shows. Do you ever see those where they cross out the Area 51 stuff? Just cross all this out.
Okay.
Because I've answered my own question, which would be like you'd start at like what you need to get done. Like you're not going to replace your toilet if it doesn't need to be replaced, right?
No, I got enough stuff to do.
With what you said, like where do you start just in general, like starting DIY? Sometimes I'll pick a project around a tool. Or say, hey, I picked up this router at a garage sale. What can I do with a router? Go to Pinterest or whatever and start working that way, and then finding things that you can do within the means that you have, so you don't need to go out and buy all these new materials to make these DIY projects. Maybe look at some of the tools you have, and maybe they're really simple, just like hand screwdrivers and stuff like that, but there's still a ton of things you can build. And I know Brittany was talking about that at one point. How can we have different levels of entry for people and their comfort levels, like building a project with just hand tools, and then maybe introducing power tool and having the category for people that want to come in at power tool level, and whatever, having the different areas.
Right. I love that idea, though. Start around a tool, just get handy with that tool, and move from there. That's a great idea. Except, Sarah, let me just yank the rug out right from under you. But since you're a landscape designer, it will be that green AstroTurf grass that gets cemented, that gets polyed down to the slab. Pulling that out from under your feet. Because the thing that I find, is that sometimes people don't pay the whole process enough attention. They don't have a tape measure that extends more than
12 feet.
Yeah, whatever, 12 feet or whatever. I've got my stuff here that I use, and I'm a professional. It's taken me years to figure out what goes in this tool pouch. But, there's $500 worth of stuff that I wear around my waist before I plug a tool in.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
You know what I mean?
You carry that much weight on you?
It's not that much weight. I've seen guys who are walking around with the kitchen sink just in a clothesline strapped around them.
The tool belts that come over there. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're doing damage to your spine there.
So in the minute we have left, you guys, this has been so awesome. Sara Bendrick, DIY Network, Brittany Bailey at Pretty Handy Girl. Tool belt for DIY, yes. Understanding there's a correct answer. Or tool belt for DIY, no. Again, understanding there's a correct answer.
Yes.
Yes!
I don't usually have a tool belt on me, but I have a tool bag that I carry with me. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't want it hanging on me. I need to be unencumbered so I can move around and pick up sheets of plywood and drywall. And
so it just depends on what you're doing too.
If I was,
God, you guys are awesome. I want to extend it. I can't extend it. DIY Courage is the Twitter hashtag. At Pretty Handy Girl, Brittany Bailey. DIY Network. Sarah, what's your Twitter?
It's at Sara Bendrick.
At Sara Bendrick, no H. Thank you very much. You guys rock, my Fix It Up lifers. You guys rock too. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Subscribe here. Enjoy our podcast on Apple's iTunes or Stitcher or Blog Talk Radio, wherever you get your stuff. Thank you. Power up, dig in. We're out.
Take your inspiration into real life with Shoreline paint products. From easy pour and store paint can lids to tools that help give you a perfect line. For more information, check out shoreline.com.
I got scratched. I'm dirty. I only have about 4 more hours of dealing with this trash, but that's my DIY. Thanks for hanging out, lifers.
You might be just a pretty face looking back at me. You might be an idle conversation piece. You might be another wasted memory, but I'd like to wait and see. You might be the first date on a city street. You might be a kiss that brings me to my knees. You might be initials carved into a tree, and I'd like to wait and see. Sometimes we agree just to